All right, let's dive right in. Today, we're going to talk about something that's absolutely critical if you're building anything with generative AI. We're going to move beyond just being obsessed with whether an AI is correct and tackle something way more important, the actual user experience.
So get this, your team has poured months into a new AI feature. The model is, technically perfect. It's spitting out correct answers, zero hallucinations, and your guardrails are solid as a rock. But then you look at the analytics, and people are just leaving. It's this super frustrating, head-scratching problem, and it's exactly what we're going to break down and solve today.
So here's the game plan for how we're going to start thinking like an expert. First, we'll talk about something I call the correctness trap. It gets so many projects. Then, we'll learn to ask the right question. From there, we're going to become behavioral detectives, really digging into what users are actually doing. I'll show you the exact toolkit you need for that. And finally, we'll tie it all together with a real-world example that proves why usefulness, at the end of the day, is the only thing that really wins.
All right, first up, the correctness trap. You really have to understand this. It's this hidden gap, this chasm that so many teams fall right into, where a model that is perfect on paper creates a user who is completely tearing their hair out. And here is that disconnect, laid bare. On one side, you have teams high-fiving over these technical achievements, right? Perfect prompts, no hallucinations. But on the other side, you have the user just experiencing pain. A response can be 100% accurate, but if it takes forever to load or it shows up as a giant wall of text, it's a failure. The user's reality is what defines success, and right now, for a lot of AIs, that reality is just slow, confusing, and unusable.
So how do we fix this? How do we close that gap? Well, it all starts by asking a totally different question. We've got to shift our entire focus away from how the model is performing and laser in on what the user is actually trying to accomplish.
And that question gets its answer right here, at what we call the application or UX layer. This is where the rubber meets the road. We have to stop measuring success with all these model-centric metrics and start obsessing over this layer. Why? Because it's the only place that can answer the one question that matters. Did our AI actually help someone get their job done? Okay, so to figure out if we're delivering value, we have to put on our detective hats. We have to learn how to read all the little clues our users are leaving behind every single time they interact with our product. And these clues, they come in two main flavors: what they say, and more importantly, what they do. First, you've got the obvious stuff, the explicit signals. This is when users actually take the time to tell you what they're thinking. That thumbs down click, the comment they write out, or that "I need a human" button. Now, this stuff is valuable, don't get me wrong, but it's usually a pretty small sample size. It's often just your loudest, most frustrated users. It's really just the tip of the iceberg. The real story, the deeper truth, lies in the implicit signals. It's in their behavior. Just think about it for a second. An immediate click on regenerate, what is that? That's a massive vote of no confidence. Or a user who copies the response and then just immediately bounces? That tells you the answer probably wasn't useful. These little actions, session drops, rage clicks, bailing because it's too slow, this is pure, unfiltered feedback at scale. This is where the gold is. And this quote just nails it perfectly. You should write this down. Stop obsessing over what a few users say. Start obsessing over what all of your users do. Their actions are where your most valuable insights are hiding, in plain sight. Okay, so this all sounds great, but how do we actually see these behaviors? Well, you need the right set of tools. You need the right instruments. And this is the modern observability toolkit that really separates the pros from the amateurs. An expert's toolkit really combines three key layers. You start with product analytics tools. Think Amplitude or Mixpanel to get the hard numbers, the what. These are going to track every single one of those regenerate clicks and session drops. But to understand the why behind those numbers, you need session replay tools like Full Story. This is like looking right over their shoulder as they use your app. And finally, you layer on those feedback loops to catch the explicit signals. It's the combination of the what, the why, and the say that gives you the whole story. All right, enough theory. Let's make this really concrete. We are going to walk through a real-world case study of an AI support assistant to see how this whole expert mindset and toolkit comes together to solve an actual painful problem. So the problem was a classic one. Users said the AI's answers were correct, but not helpful. So the team brought in the observability toolkit.
the analytics immediately showed a huge user drop-off just seconds after the first response. Then, session replays showed them why. They could see users getting visibly frustrated by the slow load times. People were leaving before the answer even finished. And for those who did wait, they were hit with a giant wall of text. The fix became super obvious. They added a scannable TLDR plus steps format, and they cached common answers to slash that latency. The result? A total game changer.
And just how big of a win was it? Get this. The team saw a 35% drop in people clicking that regenerate button. That is a massive signal that the new format wasn't just a little better, it was finally useful. This one number is all the proof you need that focusing on the user experience pays off.
Which brings us to our last and, honestly, our most important point. This is the ultimate yardstick for measuring success for any AI you build. Look, it really comes down to this fundamental difference in mindset. Most teams are stuck over here, focusing on model observability. All that tells you is the AI factually correct? But expert teams, they live over here, focused on UX observability. And that answers a much better question. Is the AI actually useful to a human being trying to get something done? One is about being right, the other is about creating value. And only one of those really matters. I'm going to leave you with this one simple truth. You can have the smartest, most powerful model in the entire world, but if the user experience is broken, your product will fail. Success is decided right here, at the UX layer. Period. So as you go back to your own projects, I want you to ask yourself this question. You know your AI is smart. We all know it's smart. But have you done the hard work to make sure it's actually successful? That's the real challenge. Thanks so much for watching.